Dave Palumbo standing here with Chris, the technician Cito. We're here at the Tribeca Performing Arts Center in Manhattan, New York, and the New York Pro Prejudging is now history. Chris, one of the most complicated New York Pro prejudges we've ever seen, because this particular show had a great stack lineup, but everyone seemed to be a little bit off. All the favorites, Lionel Baiki, Big Ramy, even Juan Morel and John De La Rosa were not at their best, but it is a four-man show, so it seems. And, you know, a lot of people are thinking that Big Ramy is going to come out here and with the victory, despite him being way off in conditioning from what he was last year. Yeah, no,
he's at the end of the day, he's the biggest guy on stage.
How much do you think he weighs?
Shit, dude.
290?
Yeah, maybe 290. You know, he's the biggest guy, and he's put together 100% the right way. So it's not like a big guy who's out of shape or off, who's got some structural issues. He's got the natural flow to the body. He's got the right, you know, squareness to the torso, the legs, the small waist. So even though, yes, he's too heavy here, he's still very dense and muscular in the muscle shots, and it is a bodybuilding show. And anyone else, you know, he's not competing against mass monsters like him. So by default, you know, I would have him first place.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with that.
Not by default, but, you know, he's first place.
Well, you know, it's very hard to judge a show where everyone is off a little bit, because then you kind of looking for who has the least flaws. And that's not a good way to judge a show. The best way to judge a show would be who has the most positives. So I think you're right. I think Ramy, with the size, the freakiness, the shape and proportion, he's really not missing any body parts. And I think you can say for Juan, he's missing, you know, legs. Maybe you can say for Baiki, he's missing conditioning. And to me, John De La Rosa was the guy who really had the most complete package of that top four group. And, you know, if I was judging, I probably would be really edging towards giving him the number one, although looking at Ramy's mass, it's very hard to dismiss that.
Yeah, you know, I thought it would come down the last call, I thought, to Ramy, his mass, and De La Rosa, and I thought De La Rosa was in better condition than him, and has a nice flow to his physique like Ramy too. They have similar physiques in that they flow, and they're both, you know, thick guys. I would just probably defer still to Ramy solely because of some of the shots. He's really got a lot of muscle where you go, wow, the hands on hips most muscular
is very impressive.
It's amazing. And the abs and thighs, the only thing that he doesn't have is a big gut. He's got great abs.
For a guy who's not in that great a condition, his abs are amazing.
From the front, he was tight enough to put the show away for sure, and even on the side he was tight, quote, tight enough. It just be behind all the critics, you know, meaning people who want to see him at his best, ourselves included. You know, we're going to pick that apart, and you know, you got to attribute some of that, of course, to being sick and still not being able to bounce back from where he was.
I thought that Juan Morel had probably the best conditioning of that top four group, but I felt that he was down. He was very flat. I thought his legs looked small. Structurally, obviously, he can stand next to Ramy, but he looks. Next to Ramy, to me, he's missing. You can see what he's missing even more so because Ramy's so complete.
Yeah, no, I think the knock on Juan is the legs and the front double bicep. You know, it's out of the. It's just there's a shape issue there, and I think it has to do with the sweep to the thighs. But you know, I thought he was flat, and he's been in better condition before. And you know, I know
that he's beaten.
He should feel good that he was able to get that last call out.
Yeah, I think that you know, he's beaten De La Rosa before, obviously in Brazil. I thought De La Rosa had enough to beat him today, but you know what? You can make a case that maybe De La Rosa was not as hard in the back, the lower back area. Juan did have good conditioning. They're very close, these guys, even though they don't really look alike structurally. Yeah. I think that you know, it's going to be a close second, third. And I think Lionel Baiki, who could have won the whole show had he come in shape, especially with Ramy being off, gave up a huge opportunity here. And I think he's lucky to get fourth, and he's doing that exclusively on his structure.
Yeah, you know, I don't think we're going to see a comeback for Baiki this year. Meaning, he traditionally gets worse as the year rolls on. He's not one of these guys who gets better, because some people get tired and their body starts to fall apart on them when they do a lot of shows, and other people, they just keep getting better and better, and he doesn't have that. No. He hasn't proven that he
can't do that.
He can't do that. So here he was in Brazil, you know, without a doubt in his best condition ever. And are we 3 weeks away? And he's just,
He should be better by all means, but he's worse.
Yeah, he looked like a glazed donut from Dunkin' Donuts, chocolate glaze.
Let's talk about Guy Cisternino.
From behind.
First of all, I wanted to say hello to all the live viewers out there in RX Muscle Land. This is a live wrap-up, so in essence, we really can't make any mistakes. Everything we say is being scrutinized and dissected under the microscope. Guy Cisternino in the 212 class, to me, really showed me that he's for real. He won last week in Dallas, but this was a tough lineup. Aaron Clark was a guy by all rights, who could knock out Guy Cisternino, and I think Cisternino brings such a great level of conditioning with fullness to his physique. I think he edged out Clark here, who looked better to me 2 days ago when I saw pictures of him.
Yeah, no, I thought I thought Guy had the potential to win. I think it just came down to being able to get him so that he could maintain his condition and just not shrink away through the torso. And that was
feeding him a lot.
Yeah, feed him in a lot, and Dallas was last week. There's not much you can do in a week when you're already trying to hold. So surprisingly, I thought he got maybe even a little sharper this week than last week.
He might be, yeah.
And it gives his body the extra oomph to be able to get by Clark.
And Clark comes in a little flat from behind. I was talking to Pete Scalise, the owner of Gear, who sponsored him, and we were both saying that 2 days ago when he sent pictures to me, I saw he had crazy sliced glutes. On stage here today, they were flat. They really weren't showing any definition. I think that's really what pushed Guy ahead of him, because I think Clark has a little bit more muscle than Guy. If you think about it, Guy turned pro as a middleweight, Clark turned pro as a heavyweight, and Cisternino really looked better than him today.
Yeah, no, I thought that if Guy could be in the mix, you would, because he's like a pit bull. He'd just
tough it out.
Yeah, he'd tough it out. And they, this show was probably the hardest. This show, compared to many shows in a long time, the head judge just kept on mixing people up
because it was very close.
It was close, and in both classes, and you saw people get better and fade, but it's a tough show to judge.
Baito Abaspor, who looked like he didn't want to get on stage in Dallas. Really, he was almost too aggressive on stage.
He was moving up.
You were screaming from the audience that he was moving up too fast, and he was like pushing his way closer to Guy, which I liked. It actually added a little intensity to the show. By himself, this guy is the champion. Winner. When you put him next to people, I think Guy and Clark's structure is a little better.
Yeah, I think Balto by himself looks like he can't be beat, and when you get him next, I think, to use your word, you get bamboozled by his vacuum, and you get bamboozled by the deep separation
and the mass.
But when you put him next to someone, you say, like, God, he still needs that oomph to
and he can still be a little tighter.
Yeah, and he just surprisingly, he doesn't or didn't measure up in the is it the conditioning department?
I don't know. There's just next to Guy and Clark, he wasn't as good.
Does he look smaller? Or
no, he looks bigger than them, but I think maybe his waist is a little wider than them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think
you're right. He bamboozles us with the front double bi with the vacuum because it makes his waist look tiny. But next to Guy and those guys, he's not. He's a little wider at the waist. He's a little shorter torsoed, and he's a little shorter in height, I think.
Yeah, but it's still a great showing for him. It was a great 212-pound class. Someone made the comment. They said, "Wow, the 212 guys are great," because we had Curtis Bryant really ripped in the show, and other guys in great condition. And I keep saying, the weight class makes these guys
forces them in shape.
Forces them to be in shape.
Yeah. Well, Juliana Malacarne looks like she'll win the women's physique division. Ashley Kaltwasser seems to be in the lead in the women's bikini, although I don't know where that came. I don't really see it because I think that she's not really in the best shape of her life. In the figure division, looks like Kamala Rodriguez and Jen Strobo are vying for that title. And in men's physique, it looks like Sadiq Hadzovic may take out Jason Poston, who's won the last couple shows in a row. I got to take my hat off. Sadiq did a tremendous job with it, bringing in that conditioning.
He's got a phenomenal body. His stance is absolutely fantastic. And I think what puts him over a little bit is his back thickness, the lower back. He's
width too.
Width, thickness.
And I heard Poston was having a lot of troubles. Being a type 1 diabetic, I heard he was having trouble carbing up. When you get dehydrated as a diabetic, it's hard to absorb carbohydrates, and he was having some problems the last couple days. So that could be a problem. Because I saw him in the studio 2 days ago at the Heavy Muscle TV show, and he looked phenomenal. He was hitting bodybuilding poses. It was almost too good.
Johnny was showing me the pictures, and I was thinking, God, I don't think the guys that I know who are in the show in the bodybuilding are as peeled as that.
I don't even think he needs to get any drier than he looked at that show.
He may flatten out. trying to get.
He might, especially with the insulin requirements he has. He probably should just stay a little fuller.
Yeah, no, I think Fuller, he's probably a little bit better because he keeps the pecs, which makes the waist look even, the taper even better.
Well, we won't know who's going to win. These are all speculative decisions on our part. Stay tuned to the live play-by-play a little later, and our final wrap-up that will air live here on live stream. For now, I'm Dave Palumbo with Chris, the technician, Aceto for RxMuscle.com.